It is not a fair playing field anymore. People have been taken advantage of, milked inch by inch. The incomes, people have reduced their incomes or made them flat enough that they cannot survive. I mean, there is no middle class. We've just been totally squeezed out.
Welcome back, everyone. And turning now to a story that we've had a lot of debate here at this table, and that is Occupy Wall Street, what it's about, what they've accomplished, have they changed the dialogue? Well, today is the movement's one-year anniversary, and it began with a bang, literally. Known for beating drums, attracting large numbers, spread all across the country, and then even across the globe. The movement, it meant a lot of different things to many different people, but one of its most acclaimed successes has been creating that slogan of the 99%. Their chant, "We are the 99," referring to the income and wealth inequality existing between top earners and the so-called 1% and then everybody else. Our Kim Lengle, who has been covering this movement here from the very beginning, she joins us live once again from Lower Manhattan. It's like you never left, right, Kim?
Almost. Well, you know, the day started out pretty early, around 7 a.m., and the goal was to clog all the major economic arteries, Wall Street, the New York Stock Exchange, and police made a strong presence, but so did occupiers. Now, as far as the numbers go, you'll remember last year at this, well, last year November 17th actually, was their biggest event ever. That crowd was about 32,500 people, and you'll remember they stretched from Zuccotti Park past City Hall, past Foley Square, and then they curled around up to the Brooklyn Bridge. The numbers weren't anything like that today, where they had 32,000 in November. Today they only had a couple hundred. Was it successful? Well, some people say it was successful in the sense that they just clogged up those economic arteries, Wall Street and the New York Stock Exchange, and they're saying it was worth it. Rich?
You know, Kim, I'm curious, some of the people you dealt with when this thing got huge, and then it spread to other cities and it spread even beyond the borders of America, in their private moments, do you think they'd tell you, we would have done things different, we would have, as much as we wanted to have a leaderless system here, we would have added more structure and built a coherent message, or do they think if they did that, they would have lost whatever appeal they had?
I think that the people who are here today are the original hardcore Occupy Wall Street members who really wanted to continue to be leaderless. I think those who were looking for direction, I think they eventually left, and I think many people ultimately had to get a job to continue surviving. Now, interestingly enough, one of the measures of the success of Occupy Wall Street in its early days was how much money it raised. It was reported that they raised $500,000 in about November to December. Today, that number has dwindled to about 40,000. So that shows you how much money it takes to keep a movement like this going. And also their mark on politics. A lot of people wanted to see Occupy Wall Street join the fray, whether it be with the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. And Occupy Wall Street maintained that they didn't want to enter the political fray, and they really haven't.
Now,
Rich?
One last thing, Kim, which is, I saw an image over the weekend where somebody was trying to light an American flag on fire, and they couldn't even pull that off. But my point is, how much did the fringe here, or the anarchists or whatever, really hijack both the platform and the optics of this movement? And I know that they tried, a lot of the folks at Occupy, to clean up the unfavorables that came around, but do they admit down deep that they didn't, you know, draw a hard enough line as to who was in the movement and who wasn't?
Think of it this way. In the beginning of the movement last year, back in November, you had 900 people who were willing to be arrested, to be pepper sprayed by crossing the Brooklyn Bridge. Those were people who were very involved in this movement. Now, has that maintained itself throughout this year? No, not exactly. They did try throughout the year to move away from those fringe people. There was issues with the homeless. There was some violence issues here in Zuccotti Park. A lot of that has gone away now that they don't have Zuccotti Park, but the movement says they're going to keep trying. Everyone's saying happy birthday to each other today, and they're saying they're looking forward to next year, although I have to say they have not released a plan like they did last year, telling us what's in store for the year ahead. But I guess we'll see. Rich?
All right, Kim, thank you very much. And guys, let me bring you in, because I believe we live in bumper sticker. We live in a bumper sticker age. It's political slogans, message. I was talking with somebody. People don't read newspapers anymore, the vast. Maybe the four of us do, but we're in a growing minority here, if it is. 99%. I am the 99%. People got it. People got it. They were able to put it into a slogan. On the other side, this thing had the potential, I think, a year ago to be a lot more than it was. And maybe they had idealistic, precepts, but Frank, they blew it when they couldn't come up with a platform, used the leverage of the crowds, used the leverage of all the free media they got. They chose not to go down that road, and I think privately they'd regret it, I think.
I think you're 100% right. The problem with the Zucatizens, and you talk about the 99%, if you ask 99% of the people out there what do they believe in, other than being against rich people, I don't think they could tell you one thing. I am included in that. I have no idea what their agenda is. If they were in charge of the world, what would they do? Would it be a radical redistribution of wealth? If that's what the case is, then say that's what the case is. But the problem, and you alluded to this earlier in your chat with Kim, being hijacked by the fringe, not only are they in danger and have been in danger of being hijacked by the fringe that we see burning flags and banging these drums. I don't know why they're banging drums. I don't know who they're banging. They're protesting a Ringo Starr or something. Right? Yeah. They're protesting Ringo Starr. But I think the problem is that they're also in danger of being hijacked by the mainstream organized left. The municipal labor unions, like the UFT and everything, was a staging area for them.
In the beginning, labor sniffed around. Once they knew that it was never, they bailed. They bailed on that thing quick.
But that's the key. No platform, no agenda, no impact on anybody or anything.
But I think you were right initially where you said that they've entered the 99 versus the 1 into the lexicon, and that's their greatest accomplishment. And it happens to work out perfectly, at least in terms of the presidential election, because you've got a representative of the 1%. Representing one of the two major political parties.
Well, we have two representatives of the 1%.
Well, yes, but one who's established or associated with being with the 1%. The other thing is, I don't think you necessarily wanted this group formulating or entering mainstream politics. Their analogy, the comparison.
You're right, Andrew. What about this? What about if they had an ask? At least. At least they could have demanded something.
But the comparison is the Tea Party, and I was in the field on April 15th, 2009, when the Tea Party really got going. And their progress into the mainstream of Republican Party politics, I don't think has been helpful for the party, and I don't think it's been helpful for the country. So establishing that there's an issue and getting people talking about the issues.
But the Tea Party would disagree with that. But the thing is, if you walk the streets of Occupy Wall Street, you see 100 different signs. So end the Fed, then you see Bring Back Glass-Steagall, even We Are Trayvon Martin.
See, for me, I think if they had, let's say, focused on college affordability, okay, and a lot of people out there, they held up signs that they couldn't pay student debt and all the rest and that it was unaffordable. They might have resonated here with a lot of people way outside of Lower Manhattan.
Because they were such a nuisance downtown also, I think they lost a lot of public sentiment, even here in New York.
It's tough to control movements like this, right?
Well, I think it's obvious. It's really funny that Andrew says that the 1% guy, on my side of the fence, the guy supporting the 99% hasn't done anything to help the 99%, and that's why many of the people in the Occupy movement are back out today, because they're really disillusioned.
College affordability, healthcare under 26.
Listen, if you talk to the Occupy people, the reason they're back out there today, and they picked a bad day to do it on Rosh Hashanah, but why they are disillusioned is because this president, who is supposed to be the guy to save them, has not saved them.
Oh, they're upset with both sides.
But I think a lot of them
but he was their guy. He was the guy who they are very disillusioned. Many in that movement
Tom,
are disillusioned by this president.
Like in 4 years, somebody was going to come down from the heavens and just deal with the Washington that anyone inherited with limited revenues and just solve everything.
Isn't that what he told us he was going to do?
More
importantly, he told us, wait a second, he told us for the first time we're going to have a different way of doing business. We're going to have transparency. No, he didn't. He passed Obamacare with not a single public hearing.
Are you making my point or no?
I'm making your point is that
there was zero cooperation on the other side.
Oh, really? What cooperation would you like if we don't control the Senate or the House? He doesn't have one hearing on Obamacare.
First of all, the magic number became 60. We both know this without boring to get the audience about how you do parliamentary politics.
Wait a second. Let's do the politics of it. Harry Reid or Nancy Pelosi could say the following health care hearings will be on C-SPAN today. We're putting the hearings out there. The president didn't go along with it.
Tom, you really, in a million years, think that if there were hearings, we would have had a different outcome?
What I'm saying to
I
you,
asked you a straightforward
Richard,
question.
what I'm asking,
Would people vote differently for
then
answers?
the president shouldn't have said we're going to have transparency,
right.
and that's why he's been a disappointment.
He hasn't
hasn't
been
changed
the
it.
post-partisan
He hasn't been at all.
I live in a world where I actually know people who run a party who say our first priority is to make sure the guy doesn't get reelected, and he said it in the first week of his first term. But anyway, be that as it may, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about, if you think we got problems here, try going halfway around the world to the Middle East, where unrest is spreading as rage in the Muslim world is boiling over in certain hotspots. Now, some of our supposed closest allies in the region are questioning the administration's decision. Stay with us.